Hello there guys, welcome back. What we're gonna do now is we're going to start from scratch here. We're gonna create the whole thing in one go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go here and I'm just gonna go and bring the geometry again and start from scratch. Okay, so I'm gonna bring a few elements and individually. Okay, so first of all, just remember that we're gonna do and create the just the basic geometry to start with. Okay, so let's start with that. Okay, so I'm gonna put here tab grid geo, and we're just gonna bring those guys there, and we're gonna bring this. We say okay, and then here we can do is we can tell them which one we want to bring. So I'm gonna bring the camera, and I'm just gonna bring this the beginning, the first element, the rock foreground. Just gonna bring it together in a single geometry. I say these two, and I say create parents as separate nodes. Okay, so then I have these guys here. So now these guys here are individual now. Okay, so you see that all there. 2, 3, 4. Okay, we got that, we got that, we got that, and we got that. Okay, so 4 of them, and we got the camera, the original camera. Okay, so we got these two. Okay, and then the next thing we need to do is I'm gonna put checkerboard here. We put here checkerboard. Okay, and I'm just gonna take this guy here, and I'm just gonna change the. Just gonna go here and say project. You remember the stuff that we did? Project 3D. So we need the camera here. So we're gonna do just this. Obviously, we're gonna project it here. Okay. And obviously we project this where we're projecting from the first frame. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, first I'm going to create a scene. So it's a type of scene. Okay, so I'm just going to go here and create and connect all these guys here. Okay, create those there, so they're all together, we talked about. And this is going to be the camera. You see, you got the camera there. You play this. That's what you get. You get the camera. Okay, with all the stuff in there, right? So we have this. Now we need to create a projection. If you use this camera here, then it works because it's going to be projecting. But you see, the camera is moving. It's projecting. It's always moving. Remember, we had to create a camera that is always static. That's the one that we're going to project. So, but now we need to see how much it stretched. And one of the first thing we need to do is just I'm gonna go here and create a several cameras. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this. Okay, I'm gonna uncheck it here. So this is gonna be my camera, which is my original camera. Okay, so that's gonna be the one that's gonna be rendered, one with animation. And I'm just gonna go here and call this shot camera. Okay, you know that already. And I'm just gonna give it a color. I'm just gonna make this guy green. Okay, and then I'm gonna make it green as well here. So we got both here in the viewport and in the node editor. Okay, so we got this, and I'm just gonna go here into the first frame. So we got 100. How many frames we have in this? I can't remember. Let's go back to I think we render out 168 frames. So I'm just gonna press S here, and I'm gonna put here 168 frames. So we got the whole thing, 168 frames. So we go here. You press O for out, and then you have the whole thing here. Okay, so you got this all the way to there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a camera at the beginning of the frame. So if you wanna do this, I'm gonna go here, say Control C, Control V. Just gonna make a copy of this. Okay, so this is my shot camera, and this guy here. I'm just gonna turn this now back to actually to red. Make it blue actually, and then this one here, make it blue. Blue, and here let's make it blue. Okay, blue and blue. Okay, so that blue here and that blue in the viewport. Okay, so now this one, obviously if we do it, it's exactly the same, one on top of another, but because we need to create a projection, we need to have a static camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this camera, okay, and we're going to tell it not to read from the geometry, from the file. So if you do this, it automatically, if you go here into the curve editor, you see it turns everything into curves. So we have curves here, and this one, because this one here is still being read from the file, so it's reading from this file, Right, if we take this one and we uncheck this, it says, because I did that already. So if I uncheck this, then it will be animated. Still follow the same, but because it's not reading for the file, you can see that it's having animation here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the first frame. Okay, I'm just gonna go and rename. I'm gonna call this projection camera underscore 01. Okay, and I'm just gonna go here to the first frame. Just gonna make a copy of this. Control C, Control V. Make another copy here. Let's start with this one. This is gonna be the one. This is something that we're gonna do in a minute, so don't worry about it. So I'm gonna sort this out first. Just gonna make it here one like this, and then that's because I already did. And I'm gonna rename this one too, so I can get the copy automatically. So it'll be number 2, and this one will be number 1. Okay, that's fine. So we take this camera at the moment, and if you go to the first frame, okay, and we just go here and say no animation. So yes, no animation, no animation. So pretty much we're gonna break animation in all of them. So no animation, here click no animation. Okay, so now this guy, you see the other one move and the blue one stays behind because that is only being projected onto that angle. Okay, and we're gonna now use this one for projection. So we're gonna take this guy here and then we're just gonna connect this. Okay, so we're gonna put this. Let's make sure that we put this one to project only on the front. Okay, it's projecting only on the front. And we take duplicate this, Control C, Control V. I'm just gonna duplicate this guy here, and the camera is gonna be the same. Gonna be the same thing here, and we're gonna project this. So now we're projecting on those there. Control C, Control V. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna project from here. So we're projecting this geometry, or sorry, this file or texture in this case, to this geometry using the static camera, and then render it out through the moving camera. Just what we did that before, we did the stuff last time. It's pretty much the same, but here we're just doing it with the checkerboard. Okay, so we got that. You see they're all being projected. Okay, so now we got this. So now if we press tab, going to the of course we need a scanline renderer. So a scanline renderer, and then we're gonna render this camera. Okay, we don't need this here. This here, you see we can get that. Now, if you see this on the frame 1, this is the reason why I'm using the checking board. Look at this, look at the squares. The square is exactly that perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna probably give it this, give it a different color. So make it, I don't know, different colors so we can differentiate here on all this. So we can have this. So that's gonna be our probably our color there. So I'm just gonna do this 1 second. So I'm just gonna change the colors here. So we got blue stuff there. So now look what happened when I play this. So when I play this, seems like everything is fine. But now look at the squares. Look at the square, how the square starts stretching. You see this square? So this is gonna tell you, or this is going to determine how much the stuff, or how much the camera is changing in comparison with the geometry, and how much the projections you're gonna do. Okay, so at the moment, if you see, for example, here you see everything square. As soon as you start moving forward, you see how this square starts stretching. It means that if, for example, I have a camera move that is very drastic. Let's say that I have a camera inside Maya. That's what I like to do in Maya, because if I have a camera in Maya that instead of doing this simple movement like this, I create something that is a bit more like, for example, like this, or like moving all the way there, then you will see, because I'm projecting originally from the original camera right here, but this stuff here will be completely different when it's projected here. It will be completely warped, and then we have to create another projection from this angle to fix that warping. You see? So that's why I'm telling you guys, when you are creating your camera move, be very subtle, because the more crazy the camera, or the more dramatic or cinematic the camera move, the more you have to do, guys, the more projection you have to create. So if I, for example, only use this, I'm just gonna undo this, for example, only to one this one here. So if I do this and then I go all the way to here, for example, you see that, for example, this projection here, even though it stretches a little bit here, it's not a crazy amount in terms of let me just double click here and double click on the geometry here, and then put the wireframe so you can see. You see, now here this projection here is quite good because the original with the I mean the one that I'm projecting from, which is frame 1, to the last one is not much different. You see there's a little bit of stretching here. If, like I say, if, for example, let's see if I can recreate that. So if I take this camera, I don't know, how can I recreate that? So I'm gonna copy this, paste it, and I'm just gonna, for example, take this camera here, and then I'm just gonna say yes. I'm just gonna go here and say don't read from file, and then on the last frame I'm just gonna move the camera like, let's move the let's rotate the camera here drastically, like, see, work like this. See if you see here, this is doesn't work. No, it's still reading from the camera. Oh, I think it's because okay, understand now. I was doing this one. This is the original. This is the one that I did dramatically. So I'm just gonna undo this. So this is the one that I'm not reading from the file, and I'm gonna take this, which is the one that I did this, and I just say not to read from the file, and I'm gonna look through that camera. Tap here when I render. Yes. I think I got lost here with this stuff. So what am I doing wrong? Blah blah blah. Did I mess with the files? Okay, let's see. Okay, you got that. That's fine. So if I take this camera, its original is there. If I take this one, say I'm gonna double click here, and if I uncheck this, and then if I do this, for example, this dramatic change on this lens here. No, I don't think it's working. This what I'm trying to show you guys. I don't think it's gonna work. I think, does it work? No, it's not gonna work because it's the same camera. Okay, so let's start over here again. I'm gonna ignore this, and I'm just gonna put the camera the way it was. So forget what I just did there. So I'm just gonna go this camera, and then we got this. Okay, so we got this. And this is going to be the camera for that projection. Okay, so if you go all the way down here, like I was saying, this stuff here at the front holds very well. Okay, now here at this end here, there's a little bit of stretching here happening, but not much. You can see it here. You see how this, look at this blue squares. You go to the first one, you see they're quite straight because it's been projected from that angle. As soon as you start moving the camera, you see the square starts stretching because I'm projecting from the original angle from here, and then now I'm viewing it from an angle that is here. So you will start seeing that this stuff is being stretched. Okay, this is one of the things that we did when we did the theory behind matte paintings and projections. Okay, so if I do a dramatic camera move, then I will have to probably create an extra camera from here and then create an extra patch that fix that stretching. Okay, so for this here will be fine. So we can probably say that this for all these paintings here in the front, obviously I'm oversimplifying, and the more dramatic you do the camera move, the more you have to do in terms of fixing the stretching. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Just probably not gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna put it back to textured. I'm gonna take this guy here and put it back to texture so I get rid of that. So you can see here at the beginning, if I project from this angle, beautiful. You see the squares are fine. I paint this in Photoshop, amazing. Everything looks fine. I create an alpha, cuts it out for every single one of them. Everything is fine. Obviously I have to create one for each one of them because there is a overlap between these 4 pieces of geometry, and then you have to go and create painting for each one of them. Okay, so that is fine. Now if I wanted to create, if I move all the way here, you see that there's a little bit of stretching here that happening, but I think it's bearable. But if I have, for example, a camera that rotates a lot to this angle, then you will start seeing the squares very stretched. Okay, so the more stretched they are, then the more you have to do more camera projection to fix that stretching. Okay, So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here and then I'm just gonna copy this and I'm just gonna go there again. So and I'm just gonna go here and change this guy drastically. I'm just gonna go and change this on the blues, on the yellows. So then I'm just gonna put this back to 0. It's gonna be 0.5. 0.5. I'm just playing around with this number so I can get something like that. So let's say it just has a different number. Okay, so this is one is fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna go here again. I'm gonna press tab, press redo, and I'm just gonna go and read something else. I'm gonna go and read probably the this guy here in the foreground, the floor. What was the name of this guy? I think it is here, this guy here. So the one that we cut out here. This guy's called Valley 1 Geo Foreground. Okay, so I'm gonna go and read that guy, and then I'm just gonna go click here, landscape, open that, and I'm just gonna go uncheck everything, and I'm just gonna go and then Valley 1. I'll go here, Valley 1, and I say create this, and I just give me this. Obviously here will be direct to the UVs, but we don't need that. We need another project 3D, so I'm just gonna copy Control C, Control V, copy that, and then I'm gonna use the same camera from here. See this, and I got that. I'm just gonna go here and put it there. Just gonna set this like this. Now I put it there, and you can see this. You see the projection there. If I press it in 3D, you see I'm projecting again from the original camera. This blue number 1, it's been projected. It's projecting this and it's projecting that. Okay. So here, if I render this out, okay, you see at the beginning frame 1, because I'm using the camera. You remember this camera, when I make a copy of it, I went to frame 1 and I deleted all the animation from frame 1. That's why it matches perfectly here this way. So let's see what happens when I start animating the camera. So the camera goes there. Now you can see here, for example, this, I think this one are quite good. This is fine. If you want to see the squares here, how much this, you see how as long as I start moving away from it, you see how this starts stretching. Okay, so you can probably think that this is perfectly square and this is perfectly too stretch. So probably you can go into frame, let's say frame 90, okay, frame 100, and if we make a copy of this, let's see, I'm gonna take this camera at frame 100, okay, I'm just gonna say Control C, Control V, I'm gonna make a copy of that, and this camera again, I'm gonna probably take this one, which is the one that I make a copy original, but still go animation, and I'm not reading for the file, so this is the camera getting the animation equivalent on frame 100. This is already being static, so it took from frame 1. This is from frame 100, so I can do is I can at this point Control C, Control V, copy this guy, and then I'm gonna call this camera projection, whatever the name is there, and then I'm just gonna move it here, and then in here, because I already not reading from the file, I'm just gonna go again what we did before, and no animation. Click here, no animation. We pretty much just freezing the camera at that particular frame. So no animation, no animation until we finish here. Okay, and let's see 1 second, see my notes, everything is fine. So next thing we need to do is just instead of projecting from camera 1, which it works for this blue bit, but not necessarily work for this, then I had to go and take this and then project there. So you can see now at this frame, you see how everything looks a bit squarer. So now if you want to compare the two cameras, I can put here switch. So press tab, there's a node called switch. You can switch between things here, like any nodes. So I'm going to connect this guy on node 1, this guy on node 2, and then I'm going to connect this here. So the moment here, if you go to switch, you see it's in the 0 entry, which is this camera. You see this one? It's been selected. Now as soon as I put to 1, you see I'm projecting from the other one. So you can see here the difference. You see this is being more, this is more square, and this is more stretch. Okay, so you go this, you see what it looks like on frame 1. You see on frame 1 there's not much difference, still things are very square. So on frame 1, you see this guy works perfectly on frame 1, but didn't work very well for this one. So on frame 1, still not much. On frame 100, you see it matches the original position of this, and then it continues, and it pretty much does very well there. So let's play this out here. And the good thing is that if you find a point that the animation doesn't work, like it worked for example for this and then not for this, and you can create an extra camera, for example at this frame, and then project from this frame, and then create an alpha when you paint it out in Photoshop, and then blend the two together, and then you will have two patches. So I think this stage here is the most critical when it comes to the matte painting, because you need to establish which cameras do you need and which camera you're going to use for your matte painting. So this is like one of the steps that you need to go back and forward until you get it right. You can see here this is fine as long as the camera starts moving. It's getting a little bit stretching, but it's not too bad. If you find there's too much stretching in here when you render out the stuff, then you can go and create, for example, a camera, let's say right here, and then recreate a patch to fix all this, and then you create just one patch in Photoshop with an alpha channel, and then project it from this angle, this camera, that fixes that issue. So it's a matter of seeing where the stretching happens. So you need to go back and forward through your animation. See here, you can see, look at the squares here. They get a little bit stretched out there, but they sort of fix at the end. So you probably might be able to get away with it. So if you don't find that this not working, for example here, this square, they sort of keep the shape. See, there's sort of not much stretching. But they, here, because they're closer to the camera, they have more parallax, so they're stretching more. So you think that this point here is stretching too much, here you can then create an extra projection at the end, and then just patch this out, and then blend them together in Photoshop. You create a patch for that. Okay, I think that's it for now. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do the other ones offline, then I'm going to open the file again when they're all done, and then I'm going to show you how to render down the stuff from here so you can start using it in Photoshop. Alright guys, that's it for now. Thank you very much. Alright, bye bye.